Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and this is a different type of a video. That's something that I haven't done before, and I just wanted to kind of share it with you guys in case you may be interested. And it's like behind the scenes and the making of a really big video, an in-depth review video such as the one that I've just made, which is for the Tab Ultra C, and I can further show you how the room has evolved. And as you can see, the setup is constantly changing. It will continue to change until I find the combination that works for me and something that I like. But yeah, in this video I wanted to kind of take you behind the scenes and kind of show you how these things are done, the work that's involved, and so that I can give you a little bit of a better understanding of why these videos actually take so much time, because it is a lot of work. So yeah, typically the work on an in-depth review, such as like on the Tab Ultra C, when I start doing that, I start by just simply using the device. So I use it in my normal everyday situations, and then I just replace all of my everyday devices, and I try to use this device as much as I can. Sometimes I can do that, sometimes I can't, depending on how good or bad an aspect of a device is. But I try up to a point where it actually becomes to be detrimental for my productivity. Then I'll just substitute or just kind of say, well, that sucks, and clearly not going to use that. So that's the starting point, and that usually takes about a week at least. At the very least, it's 7 to 10 days of living with a device, using it, and getting a good understanding of what this device is when you're actually living with it, because that's very important. So yeah, 7 to 10 days right out of the gate there, and that's before I even start the testing process. Now, some of the testing I can do in parallel. For example, reader battery performance, video battery performance, and idle battery performance. So when I'm not using the device, then I am going to put a reminder as well to definitely remember to when I'm not using it and I have 3 hours, well, then let it do the auto page flip thing, and then it does that. So then blah 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 blah. Usually I can't do, because it's like that's like 9 hours of testing for just the reader battery, because you have 3 hours for the front light 50%, 3 hours for the 100%, 3 hours for 0%. So that's like 9 hours, physical hours, just for the reader performance test. Then we add now 1 hour for video performance, so that's like 10 hours. And then you have 2 hours of writing, and that one is always the most painful one. I really dread that one. Mainly because, not so much because your hand hurts, at this point I'm kind of used to it, but it's so unbelievably boring. I can't even begin to describe to you like how freaking boring it is, because you sit down and you write, and you have something to say, right? So, but do you always have enough to say for 2 hours of continuously writing? I certainly don't, and it's just like my brain turns into a shmush, and more often than not, towards the end of the second hour, because I've been observing my pen and the hand holding the pen, I start like disassociating and observing it like, oh, this is an alien hand. Oh, how weird human hands look like. And that's usually like I know that I'm at like a 1 hour 50 kind of mark, and it's like, okay, dude. And then I start writing 10 more minutes, 7 more minutes, scribbles. And in this case, I couldn't even do it, and I just started scribbling. They're like nonsense. It wasn't even words, but it was like actions that would be just writing, but it was just like nonsense, because I just can't. It's unbelievably boring, but it's an important test. And I keep doing it because, as we've seen, it varies from a device to device, and it is something that's like a standard. So I've put myself into that mess. I only have myself to blame. So, but I've set up that standard, so now I have to kind of deal with it. And I am thinking about like automaton that it's gonna do that, but that's so complicated, so I can't really get there yet. But there's a hint of an idea kind of building there, but until I get that, it's like for 2 hours. So yeah, tangent being done. Battery testing alone is physically 12 No, there's an idle as well for 3, so that's 15 hours. 15 hours just of battery testing. And that of course cannot happen in one day. That has to be spread out to several days. Then you have the whole thing of trying to test it out and use the device in situations that I don't normally use it, but that the device is capable of doing. So for example, I don't know, browsing, using it as a monitor, all of these kinds of things. So all of that requires specific setup, and I can't just fire up a browser. Well, I can, but I don't do that. I don't just fire up a browser and just visit a couple of sites and that's it. I try to use my routine and use the browser on a device as I would normally use it on a tablet or on a phone and see, can I do it or not? And this is where Tab Ultra C actually surprised me, because this is the very first time where I genuinely was like, well, I don't need my tablet, my other Lenovo Tab P11 Pro tablet. I can barely see anything when I'm outside. With this, I see everything fine, and it just worked, and it was just really, really nice. So that's just one aspect of it. Then you have the writing aspect of it. Then you have using it as a note-taking device. Then it's like reading books, reading documents, spending at least some time actually reading so that I can see, is the device stable or not? That's how I ran into the bug of the refresh not actually working. Otherwise, I wouldn't have run into an issue like that. And I'm absolutely certain that I miss like a gazillion of little bugs, because it's physically impossible on a huge platform like this to just cover every functionality. It's just too much. So that's like the reviewing process itself, right? So I've mentioned one of the tests, the battery tests, but there's like multitudes of other tests as well, such as the DESTA test, the distance from pen to the screen, measuring the surface resistance as well, and checking out reflectivity and other processes. That reflectivity is not such a big deal, but these three are big because they use different devices that I've built, and then it uses this setup, that setup, and then it's like, okay, record, put the data in the PC, process the data, document the data, put it all in. So that also takes quite a bit of time as well. And then, only when I'm done with all of that, then I sit down, and then I live in Google Keep, like the notes thing, for about a day or so, where I start structuring everything. And let's take the camera and go to the computer so I can show you some of these things. But before I do, I want to show you something kind of cool. So this is the new setup. Let's unplug the power cable, because I gotta keep the power in the camera, otherwise it just runs out of power. So now I have a new addition, and that is a teleprompter. So my camera goes behind there and it goes through that hole. So I'm using this is an iPhone, reflected there, and then I can read the script, and I can actually control it via this little remote. So I can speed it up, slow it down, move up, move down, pause, do everything that I need to. So this is a huge, huge, huge time saver for me, finally. And I hope, I don't know yet, because this is the first time that I'm actually doing it on a bigger video like this. I hope that it's going to be editing time saver as well, because when I normally do it, my speech is full of and all that kind of stuff, and then mistakes, and then this, and blah, 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 blah. And that takes ages to edit out, especially on a video that takes like an hour or so, or you can't even imagine. I mean, it's usually 3 to 4 hours worth of footage that goes cut down into 1 hour or 1 hour and 15 video. That takes a whole day to edit, like literally 8 hours or 10 hours of editing alone, and then you have rendering and everything. So my hope is that this kind of new setup is going to improve the editing process as well, but it has already improved massively the recording process itself. It's far less stressful for me, and it's far more straightforward, because once I have prepared the script, and that's something that we will show on the screen, once I have prepared the script, which is a big job, then I don't really have to think about it, because then this setup works. One problem that I had was that this camera has a flip display, which normally works, which is great because I have to see the framing and the lighting and if everything is correct as it should be. But this thing actually covers the screen, and it's like back there, so I can no longer see it. And today is the first time that I kind of thought like, well, okay, maybe I can use I have an external screen that I use for coding in my regular setup, but maybe I can actually use that. And then well, there you go, I can give you the this is kind of trippy side of things, but let's stop the fun. So I got my teleprompter and camera there, and this is now my active monitor, and I actually get to see way better. I should have done this before, even before, because I've got this screen like 2-3 years now. No, 2 years. But I see the final image so much better than that tiny screen, and I can see imperfections, I can dial things so much better. So another improvement yet again with this whole new system. So I'm very excited, and that's why I wanted to kind of show you the whole freaking thing. Now, script or the setup of the room. Well, I'm in the room, so let's do the setup of the room. Let's disconnect the display and take you a little. Let me take you on a little ride. All right, so this is where I sit. This is the camera setup and everything that I told you about. This is where I dump in my secondary light to give me a side light. The window is darkened purposefully. I can get okay light, side light from it, but I needed a consistent solution that doesn't depend on time of day and the weather conditions, and that's why this is blacked out, so that I can have positions here, and that regardless of what's going on outside, once I fire everything up here, that I have consistent lighting conditions, because I don't want to use different color grading and things like that. It's just really annoying. So this is why the setup is like that. So this is the first time that I'm using the second light, and that's why it's the Guerrilla style. I just kind of dumped it there. The other one is here, and it's marked up with the locations. So that kind of works. If you're wondering what this big box is, this is where the videos are filmed. This is the top-down setup, so it's looking down through that hole, and down here we have the product and everything else, and of course that's the light box itself. So that's just like one of the huge benefits of having a dedicated YouTube room, is that you can actually have a full-on setup with the lights, with everything done, so that when I get to the stage of recording, I just get into the room and fire things up and start recording, and not have to dismantle and blah. So that's a huge plus again, and a huge burden off my shoulders, because it was really hard to do all of the stuff constantly. It's such a nice change to have, so that's why I wanted to kind of share that with you guys as well. All right, on the other end, I've told you that I'm gonna update the lights. So these are the lights that I have for the background. Currently they're set up to kind of pulsate a little bit, like change between different colors. And this is something that I'm gonna be, I just added for an ambience, right, until I have some stuff there. And like there's like a full control with that. I can do basically whatever. It's controlled via an app, and that's gonna take some playing around and to see what the angle, the colors, the dynamics and all of that. So this is just the first time playing around with it. Let's see what it goes. So and it's also going to be a learning curve. Another thing, one of the things that I've been waiting for has arrived, and that is my MyDeepGo logo has arrived. So it's a little metal plaque with the MyDeep Guide over there. And yes, the location is silly, I agree. It is completely silly, but I don't care, it's mine, it's the first one. So I get to put it there, and when I figure out when everything else arrives, and when I know what the actual layout is, I'm gonna just move it where I want to, but I'm really happy that it's there. So I wanted to dump it and yeah, display it for you guys and to share it with people. All right, seriously now, let's go to the computer room and show you the stuff I wanted to before I rambled on for God knows how long. So let's get there. By the way, this album just arrived like a couple of days ago. Yes, 2 days ago. Faded Photographs, such a lovely album. It's really, really nice. Oh yeah, and I normally actually wear glasses when I'm behind the screen so that I can see better, but you never get to see that when I'm in the videos there. So, because obviously of the reflections, but now you get to see my work issue or work voya issue. Anyway, so here's the thing when I said that I live in Google Keep. So the first thing that I do is I start actually categorizing things, tests to perform. You see all are crossed out, but video watching battery, surface roughness, that's the blah blah blah. Then footage, well actually let's get down to the other one. Then I categorize video capture that's needed for footage or screenshots or stills. And then this whole thing, all of these, this huge list is footage needed. So then I organize what kind of stuff I need, what are the types of shots that I will need, because these are all different shots that I will make on a separate day. For example, I was doing all of these things, I did them yesterday. So yesterday I finished all of that, and it was a completely separate session, and those are done in the light box, right? So in the big light box, that's the top-down shoot where you actually see the device and everything. So that's also another change that I'm introducing to the workflow to see how it works, because it might actually work better, because I go through the script once the script is sorry. First I write the script, then I do this whole list, and before that I have a different keep notes, which is notes for the script. I have no idea where that is, but that's like just like chapters that I need for the script, and then I put that into a Google document. Well, talking of the script, let's just show you a little bit of that so that you can see how that looks like. So here we are, Tab Ultra C in-depth review, blah blah blah, and we've got 1 out of 45 pages, and these are all chapters and sub-chapters of it. So this is a 45-page long script for an in-depth review like the one that you've watched for the yeah, we're still going around page 20. It's just more and more. Let's go even faster. This is still going. This is still the script. And then we get to the end, right? So that is a word count of 10,277 word count for an in-depth review for the Tab Ultra C, for example. So that's a lot of work. However, it's a different type of work, and it should provide for a nicer workflow for me and a more controlled workflow where I have the ability to edit myself and amend my thoughts to give you an even more objective and more impartial look at these things, so that I'm not caught up in the moment of recording, testing, or under the impression of something. The unboxing and first impressions, that's an impression video. That's never scripted, and it's never gonna be scripted. But the reviews, I think I'm gonna start scripting if this turns out to be a good workflow, simply because it is a different workflow. It's still a ton of work, as you can see, but it is, I think, offering a better quality in the end. At least that's my attempt. So we will see how that works out. So once that's done, for example, let's take a look at the footage here. So we got the Tab Ultra C, and then I have B-roll, and this is all now different footage, and then I have to rename them so that I know exactly which clip is what, so that when I put it into the DaVinci Resolve, that I can easily find what I need. Then we have Desta test, we have Microsoft footage, also named correctly, Desta results, the friction coefficient results, and all sorts of different things. And video capture, yeah, that's the video capture I was talking about, where I grab footage, for example, from the website, and then I'll use that. Well, actually this one's having a horrible flickering thing. You can more easily see it here. Yeah, so that's like, I grab that footage and then use that later. And one other folder that's going to be here is going to be for the face camera, and that's basically what I've just recorded now before recording this video. So that is, so yeah, then I write the script, then I do the Google Keep thing with the categorization of what is needed for the actual video, because the script guides me, and then I know how and what I actually need for that. And then I have a day of shooting the top-down footage, or the footage needed, grabbing that and performing tests and all of that. And then on the second day, it's transferring the script into the teleprompter, setting all that up, checking out that it actually that it works, that it's the way it should be, and then you have, yeah, what you've seen. The script ends up here, I end up reading it, and you end up seeing me something like this going. So yeah, that's the whole process of actually creating video. But then I'm not done. No, that's just actually getting the videos. So now what awaits me is I need to get all of that footage into the DaVinci Resolve and start the editing process. So that's going to be tomorrow. For a long video like this, it's gonna take time. Usually about 6 hours to 6 to 8 hours. Then it's to render it. Then it's to verify the video. Usually I verify it while it uploads, and we're talking about like videos that are like 14 gigabytes, sometimes 17 gigabytes of uploading. You can imagine how long that takes. And sometimes YouTube is wonderful, and it wants to kind of give you a processing error, but only at 99%. So you have to wait 17 gigabytes of upload only to have it stuck at 99% and never move forward. And then you gotta do it again, and then you gotta re-render again, because you gotta figure out what the problem was, what it didn't like, and then upload it again, and then see if you got the setup right or not. Hopefully, I think I have a good setup, but we'll see if it, with the big videos, it's always a little bit kind of, you don't know, it's not 100% guarantee that it's going to be happy with the big upload. So yeah, once that's done, it's uploading, it's rendering. Once it's uploading, I watch the video in real time, and I don't skip ahead or anything like that, because I try to verify that it's all good or not. Usually, sometimes I find an error or not, and then it's like, okay, cancel, abort, fix the error, re-render, re-upload, re-verify, and go until it's actually good. So that is, and then when it's done, it's the chapters, so that you have timestamps for the chapters, that it's all good. It's the video description, and then you actually go into the thumbnail, preparing the thumbnail, preparing the blurb on the thumbnail, getting all that stuff done, and then you put it all into YouTube. And then you have also with the chapters, I do manually when the ads will be, because automatic assigning of Google automatically assigning ads is ridiculously aggressive. It's like every 6-7 minutes, which is absurd. I try to have them at 10 to 12 minute intervals, so that it goes like that. It's never under 10, but sometimes it will be, because I try to put them on chapter starts, right? So if I took one that is maybe like 9 minutes, then the next one is going to be after, I don't know, 15 minutes or 17 minutes and things like that. So I try to balance it out, that it's not greedy or anything like that, that it's like a normal kind of thing, which is like 12 to 15 minutes. You add an ad and then you move on. So that's what I also do there. And then once that's done, then it's hit that schedule button. Oh, that sweet schedule button after all of that work. It's very nice to be at that stage, and then you just put in the date, put in the time, save, and you're done. And then off to the next one. And again and again and again. But it is fun. It's definitely fun to do these things, but I think I'm going to start to add these simpler videos, which are more of the, kind of spontaneous, so that you guys can have both sides of me, and that you can see a little bit me, not voya, not just voya the reviewer and things like that, because I think first of all, it's something that I would like to share. Maybe some of you find that interesting or not, we will see, but either way, it's something that I wanted to try out and see how that goes. I hope that you found this different type of video at least interesting or amusing or something like that. Please do let me know down in the comments below, like what your impression is, and is this something that you would like to see or keep seeing or not? Because if not, like why would I do it? Obviously. But if yes, then why not? Because it's easy and it's kind of fun to share these things as well with the audience, because some of you have been with the channel and with the work that I've been doing for such a long time that I think it's about time to share a little bit of other stuff as well. So yeah, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for sticking with the channel. Thank you for sticking with my work. Thank you for constructive criticism. Thank you for non-constructive criticism. Thank you for the praise and all of these things. It all matters a lot, because as you can see, it's a lot of work, and all of that just for one video. So and there's like tons of these videos that I do all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a behind the scenes so that you understand and have a better view of how it is that a My Deep Guide in-depth review is actually created. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.